Hi guys, Dusty here from Discovery Lab in Tulsa, Oklahoma for Discover at Home, a series of activities and experiments that you can do at home with a parent or a caregiver. Today we're going to be learning about the properties of light as well as exploring the natural world by creating sun catchers. Before we can get started, we need to gather some materials. So let's go on a nature walk. Alright, I've got my bag and it's time to start my nature walk. Now, while I'm on my nature walk, I want to look around and I want to find things that look interesting to me that I think would look good in my sun catcher. So I'm going to look all on the ground, see what I can find hanging out. So one of the first things I see is a nice stick. Now, this guy's got a really cool shape to him. I can also tell that he's fallen off of a tree, and I'm not going to be harming a tree by picking him up. I think I could break him into smaller pieces if I needed to, or I could just use him as is, but he's gonna go in the bag. Another thing I see is I see a lot of wildflowers. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna pluck a few of those guys. So, some things like dandelions, or clovers, or medic, any type of small flowers that you see just kind of growing around in your yard would be great for this. The nice thing about this is, because they're wildflowers, plucking them isn't going to hurt them too much. They're all over the place. You can check on the roadside for other Oklahoma wildflowers if you want a little bit more variety. I'm going to put those guys in the bag too. Another thing I see some leaves that have fallen off of trees. Now again, I don't want to pluck leaves directly off of a tree because I could harm the tree. These have fallen on the ground and I know I'm not going to be hurting the tree by picking them up. Now, in addition to green leaves, I can also find some older leaves that have already fallen. This is from last fall and you can see it's got a really funky shape to it as well as some fun holes and perforations in it. I bet that's going to look really cool on my sun catcher. It's going in the bag too. Here's another bunch of leaves that have fallen on the ground. Now, I'm going to continue walking around and see what else I could find. Hopefully you guys find some stuff just as cool on your nature walk. Here's our list of materials we're going to need for this activity. Number one, you're going to need a box. You can use any size or shape, big ones, small ones, it doesn't matter. Just use what you have laying around. Then you'll also need tape, scissors, or an X-Acto knife. If you're using an X-Acto knife, make certain you do have an adult to help you as these are very sharp. You'll also need some natural materials that you found outside. And then finally, you're going to need some paper. You can use wax paper, you can use tissue paper, you can even use copy paper. If you don't have that, you can also substitute a plastic baggie. Before we get started, let's talk about some of the properties of light. Light moves in what we call a photon. And what that is it's a particle of energy that moves in a wave shape. Instead of going in a straight line, it kind of undulates or curves as it goes. I'm going to simulate that using this guy right here. Look at the shape he is right there. You can see that it looks a bit like a couple of S's lined up as we see it that way, but in fact, it actually swirls and curls as it goes. This is a pattern that light takes as it moves. Now, I'm going to show you how energy can move down this by giving it a little tap on the top. You can see that energy moved all the way down in that swirly wave shape, just the way that light would move. Now, light is created in a variety of ways. The number one way we have here is from the sun. Now, the sun creates light and is able to travel through the vacuum of space unimpeded until it comes to us on Earth. Well, what happens if something blocks or gets in the way of light? Well, light's unable to move through solid objects. So, if the sun's bringing light this way and then something gets in between it, like the moon or something, we end up with a shadow on the other side because light can't pass through that solid object. Light can interact with objects in three ways. The first way it can interact with objects is transparently. So for instance, my glasses right here are transparent. They're clear. Light is able to go straight through this and get bent just a little bit, but it passes through little to no problem. The next way that light can interact with something is if that object is opaque. For instance, if I have a blindfold right here, I can't see anything. No light is able to come through. So this is an opaque object. Now the next one is kind of in between transparent and opaque. We call this translucent, like my sunglasses here. There's a little bit of light that's able to come through, but it blocks a good amount of it. So that way, it's not too bright, it doesn't hurt my eyes. So remember, the 3 ways that light can interact with an object is it can go completely through it, transparent. It can be blocked a little bit, translucent, or it can be blocked completely by an opaque object. All right, let's get started with the experiment. Step number 1 in making our Suncatcher is choose our box, and then we're going to cut some frames or holes out. I'm going to be using my X-Acto knife. If you're using the X-Acto knife, make sure you have an adult with you, or you can use scissors. I'm going to be cutting the front out. I don't want to cut the entire front off. I want to leave a little bit of a border around the outside. So I'm going to go in about a 1/2 inch or so. If you want to do more, that's fine, but make certain you leave part of the box. I'm going to do 4 little cuts on each side. I like to leave a little bit on the very end because sometimes if you try and cut all the way through, you cut too far, and I can just poke that last bit out. And you guys can see I've left this good amount right here. If I cut too deeply, it's going to make this weak and it might make my box fall apart. So this is going to make certain it stays together well and it'll stay together for a while. I'm going to do the same thing on the back side, making 4 cuts about a 1/2 inch from the edge, making certain to not get too close to the end. All right, then I can poke that last bit out. And now you guys can see I have got a frame for my Suncatcher. If you'd like, you can do 4 sides, you could do 3 sides. It depends upon what box you have. For instance, if you had something like this guy, you could do 3 or 4 sides of him. But I'm just going to do 2 with this one. All right, for the next step, I'm going to take and I'm going to cut my paper to the size of my box. I'm going to lay it right there, make a little crease, I think, so I can mark it really well, and then measure it this way. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because I'm going to take down the edges anyway. I just want to make it a little bit smaller and easier to deal with. Trim this guy right along my creases that I made. One more, so I have 2, so I'll have 1 for each side. And like I said, it doesn't matter if it's not perfectly straight, because we're going to take on the edges anyway. So there we go. That's about the size of my box, and I'm ready to start attaching my natural materials. All right, I've got my paper ready. Now I'm going to pick which materials I want to put on my Suncatcher. Go through and find the ones that you like the most and arrange them however you like. I think I'm going to put these flowers together because I like the way that they look. Then I think I'm going to get these little leaves right here, and I'm going to try and arrange them in a few different ways. I think I'll try and make them look like triangles. You can try and make them look like letters, numbers, faces, whatever you think. It's up to you and up to whatever you find on your nature walk. All right, and then I'm going to get one more guy. I think this one right here is a really fun looking leaf. He's going to go right here. Now I need to tape him down. Try and use as little tape as possible, or if you have it, use clear tape, so that way it doesn't cast any more shadows than you want. I'm going to use little bitty pieces of tape, just a dab, to keep my flowers down. Try and get them closer to the heavier end, so that way then they'll stay really nice like that. That's one side done. Now time for my other side. And again, I'm going to try and use as little tape as possible. because otherwise it's going to cause the shadows to look a little bit more different than I really want them to. All right, just a little bit more and I'll be ready to construct this guy. Give those guys, oh, and if you make any mess ups right here, go ahead and straighten them up. That's why we use tape, so we can just pick it up and fix it, no problem. And there's my other one. All right, now let's attach it to our box. All right, we've got our natural materials attached to our paper. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this paper and I'm going to put it on the box like so. See how my materials are on the inside of my box? And I've got just the paper on the outside. Get yourself a couple of nice pieces of tape and you want to tape this down really tight. You don't want it to move or wiggle or jiggle too much. And try and make certain that all of your materials are centered in there. You don't want them to be too close to the edge where you can't really see your cool flowers and leaves and stuff that you found. I'm going to get this a few more. Do it on all four sides to make certain that I don't have any extra pieces wiggling. And there's that side finished right there. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. Remember, take your materials, lay them so that way they're inside the box and your paper is on the outside. Take down all four sides again, making certain you keep them nice and tight so they don't wiggle too much or fall off. It'd be terrible if you worked so hard on this amazing thing and it fell apart. Give it one more right there, and then last but not least, the top of this guy. Down nice and snug. And there we are. So that is going to be my Suncatcher right there. Now, if you guys are able to go outside and there's good sunlight, you can take and you can hold it up to the light and you can see what parts of your box are opaque, block the light completely, transparent, let all the light through, or translucent, only let a little bit of light through. So you can see the paper I chose was translucent. It doesn't let all the light through. Some of the objects I chose are pretty translucent as well. They let a lot of light through. A couple of them are opaque and they cast really big shadows. Had I used something like a plastic baggie, which is translucent, I might see a lot more things. What do you think are some other things you could use to make this box with? How would it change what you see? All right, so we're outside with our Suncatcher that we've created. So, as I hold it up to the sunlight, I can see that the light passes through in a variety of different ways. I can see that some objects are completely opaque. All they cast is a shadow. I can see that some objects are translucent. They let some of the light through. However, I can see there's a difference in the translucency. Some of them let almost all the light through, whereas some of them only let a little bit of the light through. Let's flip it over and take a look at the other side. Now, if I look right here, I can see that my leaves have shown through green. That's because these leaves will let through all light that's green. They block all the light that's of the other spectrum. So anything that's red gets stopped because only the green light can pass through. If I look at my bigger leaf up here, I can see it's a bit more opaque. A little bit of green light shines through, but not very much. It blocks even some of the green light from passing through. So we can see that there's different levels of translucency with a lot of different things. So, how did yours turn out?